This is a THOR News presentation. THOR News presents Comet C2012 S1 ISON and WTF
Earth.
Seriously, bro.
Part 27. Did NASA know about ISON in 2008? Well, put on your best cowboy tinfoil hat, grab your gardening gloves, and glide into your dancing shoes, because we are gonna bogey boogie down the rabbit hole. We are gonna examine a brand new conspiracy that I have thought up all by myself in my brain. We're probably gonna sing a song of old laments, and I'm gonna find glory in a broken heart and a sad face. So come on, let's go. All right, here's the deal. I'll start you off with the meat and the donuts first. In 2008, NASA got very interested in the moon's atmosphere. And now in 2013, September, they are launching the LADEE satellite to orbit the moon. The solar system is like a big clock, and it sure feels like it's tick-tocking faster. Oh, time is a funny thing. 1972, the end of the NASA All-Star era, post-JFK, AD Jimmy Janis. NASA made its final manned trip to the moon. Asterisk. It sounds like they had a great American time. They rode moon bikes, they checked out young baby moon volcanoes, and they saw an amazing, unexplainable glow at sunset. They believe it was like magic dust, but they didn't know. So now, 36 years later to be exact, or 2008 to be specific, they publicly proposed LADEE in their 2009 year budget. LADEE, which stands for Lunar Atmosphere and Dust Environment Explorer, or LADEE. Say it how you want, really. LADEE is the ultimate dustbuster detective investigator satellite robot that ever went online. They're going to launch her ass into space this September from a brand new place. Are you still here? All right. This is where the story gets good. So LADEE, L-A-D-E-E, will launch into space, fly to the moon. She's kind of slow, so it'll take her a month. She'll get there about October 13th, I think. And then her job is to fly around the moon, measuring dust in the moon's atmosphere in many different spectrums. Now, I thought that sounded weird, so I Googled it. I said, does the moon have an atmosphere? And everybody else was like, no. Except for NASA was like, wait, we changed our mind 4 months ago. Yes, it has an atmosphere. And that is why we are sending up this $100 million super robot to measure all the dust in orbit around the moon's atmosphere. Right? You with me? Now, LADEE is going to be flying around the moon for 100 days. And then it's robot seppuku, where it takes out its robot sword and sticks it in its stomach and goes left, right, up, down. No, seriously, it's just going to crash into the moon. Asterisk. So here's the deal. LADEE, which was proposed in 2008 from a sketch from 1972, will be rocketed into space towards the moon in September. And somehow LADEE will be flying around the moon the exact time ISON is passing by. Ain't it cool how official science can totally correct itself after like 50 years of thinking one thing and swearing by it as the gospel, and then just the next day do a 180, change hats, be like, oh yeah, all that stuff about there being no atmosphere on the moon, that was totally wrong. There's totally an atmosphere in the moon, dude. You're like, oh, okay, let's explore that again. LADEE was based off of a Apollo mission, the last manned mission to the moon, in 1972, and in 2008, they were like, hey, let's have a satellite up by the moon, checking the moon's atmosphere for dust and all type of different light spectrums. I mean, is it a coincidence that this $100 million dust detective will be there during the time ISON passes us both ways? LADEE will be there checking out ISON's junk as ISON double dusts us. Now, is it a conspiracy? Like, okay, so NASA knew about this at least as early as 2008? Or is it just a coincidence that because of NASA's awesome karma, they just got lucky and happened to have a dust detector flying over the moon when all this happens? Now, honestly, the doomiest aspect of ISON has always been the dust, because it sounds like wormwood. You don't know what that's made of, and if that thing is going to pump like a quadrillion pounds of dust into Earth's atmosphere, that could change stuff, man. You know, who knows? Maybe comets are seeds of the future. So I just gotta ask that question. And if that wasn't weird enough and conspiracy-ish enough for you, you know that 1998 movie Deep Impact? Well, President Morgan Freeman in that movie described Robert Duvall's character as the last man to walk on the moon. And Apollo 17 was the last manned moon mission. So in Deep Impact, they make a reference to Apollo 17, which I tie back to LADEE, which I tie back to ISON, and the double dusting. Now this is flimsier, but Apollo 17 was launched from a Saturn V, a Saturn V, which is a V, and then LADEE will be launched from a Monitor V, which is a 5, which is a V. So make of all this what you will. It seems mildly suspicious. And speaking of mildly suspicious, alright, so the Deep Impact spacecraft took photographs of ISON the 9th. The Deep Impact spacecraft took photos of ISON on August 10th. And then the HiRISE supposedly took photos of ISON on the 20th. And guess what? We have not had a chance to see them. Once again, I want to point out that I don't blame NASA at all for this, because since 9/11, I believe NASA has mainly been conscripted to help Homeland Security keep track of every single moving creature on the planet, because we've been at war, we're in war, and now that we're about to get in another war, I'm sure NASA's being called into action. So they probably don't have time to develop the photographs and then release them, right? And let's remember that Nancy Pelosi and John Boehner are probably calling the shots at NASA. And those dudes may be like, all right, let's deliberately mess with Americans like they like to do. And so that, they're not letting NASA cooperate with us at all. So it's not NASA's fault, man. It's just like if some of our wonderful Navy boys drop bombs on Syria, they were given orders and they follow orders. NASA does the same thing. So it's not NASA's fault. We're not looking to blame anybody here. THOR News is not about blaming people, because it's all of our damn faults. But either way, for whatever reason in this jacked up Comet ISON campaign, to not get photographs, it's highly suspicious, especially after the Flying V controversy, Klingon ship. Oh, and on that note, our V has showed up back and forth in the sun a few times. Alright, and in sad news, I have a broken heart. My hero, Amy Mainzer, the queen of the brown dwarfs, has blocked me on the Twitter. Now, I knew this was coming. I really did. And to be fair, I made 2 snarky comments to her. One, I compared NASA to Congress, which would be an insult to anybody who's intelligent, I imagine. And 2, I made a crack about NASA working with Goldman Sachs to mine asteroids for gold, diamonds, and chemicals that could probably make weapons. So after those tweets, I'm sure she got upset, blocked me, which is fine. She wouldn't have ever been able to tweet me anyways. I'm sure that's a rule and regulation. But what I wasn't really prepared for was, I don't know if you guys have heard of a guy named Phil Plait. Apparently he's a big astronomer guy. He's got 300,000 followers on the Twitter. I only tweeted him 3 times. And I was pretty polite and just said hey dude, why haven't we seen the Deep Impact photographs from the 9th to 10th? Hey dude, why haven't we seen the Deep Impact photographs from the 9th to 10th? This is a valid question. And he blocked me, dude. I'm like, WTF, bro? Seriously? Seriously, bro. All I did was ask a valid question. There's no reason why we can't ask why we haven't seen the photographs. So why would you block me? So here's my guess. Amy and Phil are dating, and Phil got jealous, because they pretty much blocked me at the same time. So they were probably at some hoity-toity party, and Phil was like,
That THOR News is no good. We need to block him. We cannot give those YouTube peasants any type of validity.
well, Phil, that is disappointing. But I understand. Jealousy is a monster, and it can get to the best of us. But I do wish you and Amy the best of luck. As a classic romantic, I root for people in love, and I think you guys are a fantastic couple. And I'm sure you'll have super science babies and stuff. I just want to say God bless everybody. At this point, I don't know if it's a hoax, a red herring, wormwood, giant shotgun blast after it comes around the sun. Who knows what it is. But just live life to the fullest, party people. And try and be nice to other people. It's the only way to go.